When was the last time you spoke to your neighbor? When was the last time your neighbor spoke to you? Do you actually meet, connect, exchange? Do you share a cup of coffee or a cup of tea together? Those simple gestures, moments, behaviors are actually the foundation of how we live together. But it seems that today, the relational meaning of the word neighbor has changed. If we look at the Oxford Dictionary entry, the word neighbor is defined as someone who lives near you or close to you, which shows a distance rather than a relation. Someone physically close, yet socially distant. Why so? I moved from Paris to Armenia 11 years ago. I say Armenia as a whole because in such a small geography, we have the rare luxury of holding an entire country within reach. We can go to Lake Sevan as easily as climb Mount Aragat. We can drive north, south, east, west, all within a few hours. During those years, traveling, observing, I became fascinated by a simple culture, very authentic, the folk bench. Those benches are made of wood, of metal, of stone, of any recycled material villagers have in hand. The benches can be designed as single benches or a series of benches next to each other. Benches are shared with families, with children, with animals at all times of the day and the night, at all seasons. The bench became what I would call a micro-architecture of dialogue, a modest yet powerful public space created by inhabitants themselves. The bench is an extension of the home towards the outside, the street, the outdoor, the other, the neighbor. Another extension of the homes are the gardens, the orchards. All of them a small green paradise. But it seems that despite all the plant and animal life inside, there is something unnatural. It is rare to find today open gardens. Generally, they are enclosed by walls, by fences, by wires, solid materials that draw a separation line between one neighbor and the other. I grew up in Paris in the suburb of Issy-les-Moulineaux. When my parents were renovating our family house, they developed a genuine relationship with our neighbors. And something very rare, but very simple happened. Our two gardens became one. Sometimes, in fall, our apple tree will drop its fruit in both gardens. Their chickens would wander freely inside both gardens, and some mornings we would eat their eggs. We were not just neighbors, we were sharing a common ecology. And I often ask myself, what if all gardens were open? Wouldn't we feel just a little like birds? I grew up in Paris as a French Armenian with an Iranian twist. My mother's side was coming from the country where the art of gardens has given birth to the word paradise in English. In fact, in English, the word paradise comes from the word pardis in Farsi, which means gardens. The Greek used the word paradeisos when they described the beautiful Persian gardens created in the Persian Empire in a desert climate. The Persian garden typology is based on the concept of the Chahar Bagh, which means four gardens, where four waterways and walkways reflect the four rivers of the paradise. The Greek translators of the Bible used the word in order to describe the Garden of Eden and heaven. So, between the biblical Mount Ararat in Armenia and the heavenly gardens in Iran, the geography of the region inspires, no? Spiritually and imaginatively. But where do we stand today? Armenia and Iran share a common geopolitical border along the Arax River. A river should naturally connect, but here it separates. Why so? It's problematic. What should we do? As a curator and art historian, for the past 7 years, I have developed my curatorial practice, AHA Collective, in Yerevan, and my mission has been to nurture and develop the contemporary art scene in Armenia and weave it in the broader region and the world. I love working with museums, curating exhibitions, working with their archives and collections, working with contemporary artists, and doing exhibitions in my gallery space in Yerevan. But I find deeper meaning in connecting with the outdoors, with public spaces, with gardens, a curatorial practice of placemaking with intention. I think curators must rethink exhibitions and ways of artistic production so that they are relevant for today's society and for the life we want to build for tomorrow. We must move beyond walls of galleries and museums in order to bring art into the social heart of our communities. Now, how does that translate along a river and along a geopolitical border? Water is a mirroring element. It reflects what we allow it to see. Could we envision that the waters of the Arax River could carry more than the heavy weight of history? They could carry a future. Could we envision that a contemporary art museum of the future is born in Armenia and Iran together? Could the Contemporary Art Museum, or actually a post-museum of contemporary art, be co-directed and co-founded by two nations, Armenia and Iran together? In a region marked by wars, embargoes, displacement, the most radical act is to build together, not in isolation, but in collaboration at grassroots level, along the riverbanks with two communities together. What if culture were our diplomacy? Could such an art ecosystem built around a shared natural element become a bridge, both physical and philosophical, geopolitical and cultural? Could it reconnect both neighbors, Armenia and Iran, two peuples monde de la longue durée, as the French geographer Michel Bruno describes, two world peoples who have endured through the ages?
Let's imagine in this landscape the contemporary art institution that is a bridge, a two-way passage with floating pavilions and riverbanks lined with every possible bench design. A place to sit, to look, to cross, to look again from the other side and cross back again, all while enjoying a musical feast on the bridge, contemporary dance performances on the riverbank, and art installation on the waterscape.
Pomegranate and fig trees do not recognize the border. Their roots reach to each other under the water. And this underwater embrace reminds us of an Armenian cultural heritage, the tradition of family trees, these carefully drawn genealogies where every leaf is a person and every branch is a family line. But if we dig deeper than the individual person, deeper than the family line, where do we reach? We reach our common root, where Armenian and Iranian soul have been drinking from the same well for millennia. And this kinship is perhaps most beautifully expressed in the breadth of our languages. If an Iranian speaks of Azadi, and an Armenian from the diaspora or Armenia speak of Azaduchun, they are not just translating a socio-political and philosophical concept. They are describing a common root. They are sharing this same thirst for the horizon, freedom. But do we actually feel freedom along the border? Do we speak to each other along the river? Maybe this talk will remain as so, an inspirational talk about utopian vision of living together between neighbors. Or maybe this talk will be archived in the digital world, and 10 years later, it will come back on the surface of the water when the geopolitical context would have changed in our region. Or maybe we can turn this vision into a reality. We can see this talk as an invitation to you all in the audience and online listening to this talk. We can see this as an invitation to talk to your neighbors in your own context, and also to join this initiative of the Arax bridge building. You, the gardener, the environmentalist, the poet, you, the artist, the designer, the architect, you, the diplomat, the IT specialist, the philosopher. Everyone can join this initiative. A dear poet and thinker of the Caribbean archipelago, Édouard Glissant, expressed this vision in his own terms. Each and every identity is extended through relationship with the other. So in this unprecedented barbaric moment of contemporary history, we have to unite, because if the river unites, so can we. In 1967, the Persian poet Sohrab Seferi shared a letter to the world. I was not born yet, were you? In this invitation, his poem, he shares and reflects the same vision that I shared with you today. You have next to you a paper that was given for each one of you to read today. It's the poem of Sohrab Seferi, which in Farsi and translations in Armenian and English is an invitation to speak to our neighbor. Maybe we can read it together. Downstream, perhaps, a pigeon is drinking, or in a distant thicket, a finch is washing its wings, or in some village, a pitcher is being filled. Let us not muddy the water. Perhaps this flowing water runs to the roots of a poplar tree to wash away the sorrow from a heart. The hand of a dervish, perhaps, has dipped a piece of dry bread into the water. A beautiful woman has come to the river's edge. Let us not muddy the water, so her beautiful face may be doubled in its reflection. How refreshing is this water! How crystal clear is this water! What pure hearts the people upstream must have! May their springs keep bubbling. May their cows yield abundant milk. I have not seen this village, but surely God's footprints are by their fences. There, the moonlight illuminates the vastness of words. Surely, in the village upstream, the walls are low. If a bud blossoms, the villagers know. What a village it must be. May its garden alleys overflow with music. The people at the head of the river understand the water. They did not muddy it. And so, we too, let us not muddy the water. Thank you.